Hey, what's up? John Sonmez here from simpleprogrammer.com. So just finished my workout and I was listening to some Nietzsche. Actually, I was listening to one of the great courses on Nietzsche, and it was something interesting that came up, something that I had heard him say before. I'll do a review on the course when I finish it. But he said, become who you are. And I thought this was a really interesting concept, because a lot of what I talk about on this channel has to do with becoming who you are. And I think that's misunderstood quite a bit. I think a lot of philosophers misunderstood it. A lot of people that study Nietzsche and try to understand what he said, which is really hard, of course, misunderstand this, and it just gets missed, this whole idea. And, you know, actually, I think to give some credit, the guy that's doing the lecture on this, I think he's a professor of philosophy at Arizona State, I believe. I gotta check on there. But to give credit, he does make this distinction that I think a lot of people don't, which is just this distinction between being yourself and becoming who you are. And I think it's just a real interesting concept, because I never realized that I agreed with Nietzsche so much in this pretty basic concept and what it means, because I think a lot of people don't agree with this. So what do I mean by this? What does it mean to become who you are? Well, it essentially means that, you know, and I think there's a few different ways to interpret it, but I think one way of interpreting it is to say that there is some kind of capacity that you're different in some way, and that you have a unique potential that is unique to yourself. Meaning that, you know, yeah, you can be anything you want to be, but is that really true? Like, but you can't maximize the potential. But you can only be like your version of anything you want to be. And so one thing that I've always focused on, one thing that I believe is really the purpose of life, the purpose of my life, is to maximize my potential. I've defined success. You can watch the video I did where I talked about what I said success was, or the elements of success. And I define success, and I still define success, as maximizing your own potential, not achieving some financial status, physical status, whatever it is, right? Reaching some goal or some level, but maximizing your own potential. And so in a way, maximizing your own potential is the same exact thing as the philosophy of becoming yourself, right? Because that means that you've got some kind of individualized self that's different than other people's self. Their definition of what's success for them is going to be different, right? And they're maximizing their potential is going to be different. And this is really important, because this is a marriage between two concepts. I think a lot of you still have this victim mentality, right? You can watch my videos. I've done tons of videos on victim mentality, and I still get flack. I still get some of you that watch this that you're like, oh yeah, but circumstances. You know, I grew up in a poor neighborhood, different racial or ethnic background, you know, discrimination, all this, blah, blah, blah. Bullshit, right? Because it's a convenient excuse for saying that, which basically equates to something that is true, which is that maybe your potential based on things beyond your control is different, and I won't say less than, because it may be less than in different areas, but different than someone else's potential who had a different set of advantages or disadvantages. So your own path, your own destiny, and the potential of that is shaped by your circumstances. So I think a lot of what I've said before in the past, you know, this just gives me a new light to it. A lot of what I've said before in the past could really be interpreted as me saying, oh yeah, there's no such difference. It doesn't matter, you know, what background and whatever, we're all the same. It's all equal. Stop being a whiny bitch. And although I am saying stop being a whiny bitch, what I am saying at the same time, this kind of marriage of these two ideas, is simply that, look, it doesn't matter what race you started with. It doesn't matter what circumstances that were given to you. Your responsibility, and the only thing that you can control ultimately anyway, is your ability to maximize your own potential based on those circumstances. So, you know, if you grew up in a poor family, if you're abused as a child, if whatever circumstances that you can muster up, you know, you live in a third world country, whatever it is, whatever you come up with, it's not like you're comparing your end result against other people's, right? Someone that had more advantageous beginning, you could say, is going to have a different maximum potential in different areas. Same thing you could say with genetics, right? Because sometimes you say, oh, well, working out, well, genetics. yeah, you could say genetics, but here's the thing: is what is your maximum potential, right? For what you're capable of. And so if you're not reaching that, then you can't call bullshit and cry and be a whiny bitch saying about genetics. Let's see you hit your maximum first, and then you can start whining and crying, I suppose. But if you do that, you're not gonna be the kind of person to whine and cry. So you see what I'm saying? So it all comes down to this simple concept, but tricky in that it gets confused, right? Which is just simply this, like Nietzsche said, become who you are. It's an effort, it takes work, it takes dedication to maximize your own potential, to essentially step into who you are. And I do believe to some degree that is predestined, to some degree, that it is based on your circumstances. It marries those two concepts together, but it says, fuck fate, I don't care where you started, I only care what you did, not what you ended up with, if that makes sense. What you ended up with in relation to you and your uniqueness, both in circumstances and as an individual. So that's all I gotta say. Don't be yourself. Instead, be a better version of yourself, and keep becoming that as you follow me on this channel, and we help each other on the quest. So click that subscribe button if you haven't already, and click the bell to make sure that you don't miss any videos. I'll talk to you next time. Take care.